Straw Hut Media.
Welcome to Release Date Rewind, a podcast that celebrates milestone anniversaries of the movies we love. I'm your host, Mark J. Parker, a filmmaker and film fanatic, but not a film snob. And thank you for checking this episode out either on the Straw Hut Media Network, wherever you get your podcasts, or watching it on YouTube. Everybody, I'm gagged, quite honestly, because this is a very special bonus episode with a guest who has served us some stellar entertainment.
You gagged her with a jawbreaker?
You are gonna die if you're a fellow fan of Jawbreaker, which we just discussed in the previous episode, because this special guest wrote and directed that cult classic we've been happily quoting for the past 25 years.
He is gonna die!
I am honored to have filmmaker Darren Stein grace us with his presence, so buckle up for a ride in the convertible down memory lane. All right, students, you're gonna learn it, live it, love it, because it's time to rewind. Everybody, I am over the moon. I am so excited, so honored that someone whose films, but especially this particular film we're talking about today, I've loved for 25 years. Please welcome filmmaker Darren Stein, who still looks like a teenager. You don't even look 25 years older. How do you do it, Teen Dream?
I guess moisturizer. I don't know.
I hear that's good. I hear I should be doing that. I'm going to pick your brain. I want to hear, how you made not only Jawbreaker, you made Sparkler, GBF. You've also made a documentary that I must see. I have to find, because I have read that you also, like me and like many other people out there, you made videos with friends growing up, right? You made short films in LA.
In the Valley, yeah.
In the Valley. So tell me about childhood before you made these great films. What movies did you watch as a kid where you knew like you had to be a filmmaker?
As a kid, I would say it was like a lot of horror. Like,
oh yeah,
Rocky Horror Picture Show, The Exorcist, The Shining, Clockwork Orange, even musicals like, I don't know, Oklahoma, all that jazz. I had this thing called the Z Channel. Well, my dad had it, my family. It was a very early cable station. So I was exposed to like a lot of movies, I guess, really young, because we had this thing called the Z Channel. There was a great documentary about it made by one of the Cassavetes daughters.
Oh, cool. Okay. Wow, the Z Channel. Okay, I didn't know that one. Okay, yeah. But yes, you were home learning about all these movies, falling in love with horror, right? And musicals. And so I'm seeing a theme here. Some death, some darkness, but some bright colors. Some, musicality, right?
Yeah, and I liked rock and roll music, like Kiss and Alice Cooper and like Donnie Marie. So I liked, sort of like the more pop, but also the darker stuff and rock. And then, musical theater was a huge influence. My parents took us to shows, but of course I was more drawn to stuff like Sweeney Todd, things that were more macabre.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, totally. I can see it. That's amazing, Darren. So now you went to an all-boys school. Am I right?
For high school. Well, for junior high, yeah, from 7th grade to 12th grade.
Wow. So then I need to know, how you didn't have Mean Girls in high school. So like, how did you create these amazing Jawbreaker ladies? Did you learn more about that kind of, high school experience in college or other high schools?
I think it was just from movies, from seeing the John Hughes movies like Carrie, Heathers, of course.
I got my Carrie shirt on, not to interrupt you. So, she's here with us. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Carrie's always here. Pretty in Pink, any kind of cinema, I just was exposed to Grease, the first Grease movie. And it really was about being in elementary school and seeing these older kids who were teenagers who were like seniors. And I was like, oh, so when you're a senior, you're like a full-blown adult.
Uh-huh.
And, hunky dudes and like glamorous girls. And I was like, and it left an impression on me, that the idea of going through puberty or becoming that kind of like larger than life person.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're going to talk more about hunky dudes. We have to. So We'll get there in a second. So, okay, so you grow up in California, all boys school for high school, you said. God, I can't imagine that. Was that hard as a
It
young
sucked.
queer
It
boy?
was
Yeah.
not easy, but I went to my elementary school was co-ed. So it
Okay.
wasn't like I was devoid of co-ed educational experiences.
Yeah,
But I think
that's good.
as you know, as a queer person, it's like I feel like you need to. I'm sorry, I'm assuming you're queer.
Oh yeah,
Um,
uh-huh.
you have to have the girls there to help empower you as the gay guy,
Oh my
right?
God, yes. Yeah, it's a nice
GBF, what's
empowerment.
GBF's
You know,
about?
you help them, they help you, right?
Mhm.
Exactly. Yes, GBF. Exactly. I know. Another great one. So then you go to NYU for college, is that right?
Mhm.
Now,
Went to
when
NYU.
did you went to NYU, loved it, absolutely, right? I went to Fordham in New York, so I'm right there with you. College in New York is like nothing else, right? So did you stay in New York for a while, or once you were done with school, did you head back
I
to
didn't.
California?
I came right back because I made a
Okay.
short film when I was in college that got me an agent. So I got an agent, in the business when I was like a junior in college. It happened very, very fast for me. But then, of course,
Wow.
after getting the agent, it took 5 years to get my first feature made. So it didn't
Okay.
happen overnight. But in retrospect, it seems pretty fast.
Because I was gonna say, like, you made Sparkler and Jawbreaker when you were only in your 20s, which,
Yeah.
I mean, these movies had big stars. They
Mhm.
made their mark in festivals, and obviously Jawbreaker, we're talking about it 25 years later because it's just so much fun. Congratulations again. So yeah, so you got an agent. So now walk me through, you do Sparkler first, and you get Freddie Prinze Jr., Jamie Kennedy, Veronica Cartwright talking about horror cred with Alien and the Birds, right? So, what was it like making that and doing that back in California and starting to really make a name for yourself?
It felt great. It was very, in retrospect, I'm like, oh boy, making Sparkler and Jawbreaker back to back was exciting because making it to
Yeah.
never happened again. But it's like I just felt very like, blessed, I guess, that
Yeah.
I got to make both those films back to back. Because basically, I wrote Sparkler, couldn't get it made. Wrote Jawbreaker, couldn't get it made.
Hmm.
And then these producers came along and made Sparkler. And then through them, I met the producers that produced Jawbreaker. So those two
Oh,
things
okay.
all happened through really like, like people connecting me with people. And, they weren't really like, I mean, Jawbreaker was made by Columbia TriStar Home Video, which was not the big studio division. It was the home video division. And it was the first film
Interesting.
that they made. So, but that it was brought to them by these other producers. And one of the producers who did Jawbreaker she was a co-producer on The Craft. So
Ah,
she sort of had that sensibility.
yes, and I see some DNA, some similar DNA in there for sure. And the whole Connie Francis connection. There's some Connie Francis in The Craft, and there's some Connie Francis in your film. Now, is it true? Was there a lawsuit?
Oh yeah. Well, after the film came out, I guess Connie Francis didn't realize the context in which her song was used. And so
Oh man.
when she finally saw the scene, she's like, I didn't get permission to this. And I guess she threw it. She was not pleased. But
Wow. Come on, Connie.
it's funny because when we were mixing the movie, I really wanted the Connie Francis song and I wanted a female perspective, right?
Mm.
And
Mhm.
then the producers wanted, and who were both women, actually wanted a male perspective, a male song. They're both
Oh.
like vocalists from I think 50s or 60s.
Mhm.
But the Connie was campier and more fun, and
Oh
Lollipop
my gosh.
was like perfect for that.
It's iconic, Darren. Like, none of us can, like, picture Ethan Erickson in his underwear without that song. Are you kidding? I see the image and I'm like, "La li la." Anyway, I don't want Connie to sue. I don't, I think is she still around? I'm not sure. I
I
should have
don't
looked.
know.
Yeah. Okay, well, that's amazing. So yeah, you make Sparkler. That makes a bit of a splash, of course, on the festival circuit, right? You get some nominations and awards. So then that's great to know. So some producers from Sparkler carried over to Jawbreaker, right?
Yeah, yeah. So that was just a really exciting. And then this Columbia TriStar Home Video released Sparkler on
Like,
VHS. So because they were making my next film, they wanted Sparkler to get out there, and so that's why it was available in blockbusters across the country. And people really found, similar to GBF, people found Sparkler as a rental, and then they found
yeah,
GBF on Netflix.
absolutely. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. All of your films so far have such great legs in, well, literally in Jawbreaker, of course, but such great legs at home. That's how many of us, I was in 6th grade when Jawbreaker came out. So I'm pretty certain I didn't get a chance to see it in theaters, but the second that came out, either at Blockbuster or on HBO or whatever, I was all over it, like many of us were, right? Now tell me real quick. I hear there is a real Violet in your life.
Well, she was very big in the LA club scene. Her name was Violet Fagerholm.
Wow.
And I mean, how else can you make up that name?
What a name. Yeah.
And she spelled it Vylette. And she was platinum blonde. And she was just like, and then when I was thinking about Fern and that character, I was like, oh, if Fern becomes a violet, because it's a plant, a weed or a plant.
Of course.
And so and Violet herself is in the movie. She's an extra who's she looks like she's like way too old in high school. Ivanka Trump hair, like leopard print. You can see her in the movie.
Yeah. Now, does she play a student, or is she in? I wasn't sure if she was a student or in in kind of the makeover montage, very Rocky Horror, Tim Burton-esque moment. Is she in that?
No, she's a student. She's in the scene. She's in two scenes. She's in the scene when they're like, when Violet's running down the hallway and ripping the posters down.
Oh,
one of the people laughing at her.
Okay.
And then at the prom scene, she's right in front at the prom when Courtney's having the meltdown. She's right in that crowd, right in front.
Oh, okay. I think I know.
Spiky purple hair.
Well, for those of you who don't know me, I'm the real Violet. That's right. Fern could only wish that she was really like me.
Oh my gosh. And I've said, because the previous episode that I'm going to put out today is with my friend Clark, who's an artist, talking all about Jawbreaker. And we even say we love the shot that you guys made of all the extras in the crowd looking up at Courtney. And I was like, gosh, some of these extras are like drag queens. They are in drag. They're in like such bright colors. And it's just so iconic and memorable, this whole crowd, and everyone's in slow motion throwing stuff at her. It's amazing. Because I thought that was so interesting, because I'm like, where did Darren Stein get the name Violet? And of course, it's inspired by
a real person.
How
do you make that up?
Yeah. And also, I have to ask, Darren, since you are a California boy, I noticed on this latest rewatch, I had never really thought about this before. Every character in your film that drives has a convertible. Are you a convertible owner?
I used to have a convertible back in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Me too, actually. In like 2004. A BMW.
Like,
nice.
But I know after that, I was like, I didn't love the convertible. I wanted to experience it once. And then I realized I just didn't always love like being so exposed and having like the sun on me and getting tan.
Right. Yeah. Totally. Yeah.
But for the girls, it was more about the reveal of like the opening, the convertible coming down.
Oh, yeah.
Revealing that the kidnappers are like teenage girls.
Absolutely. Yeah. Because we don't know, unless you see the trailer, if you're just going into it blind, you don't really know who the kidnappers are until that great reveal. Absolutely. So you're writing Jawbreaker, and I'm not even blowing smoke. I mean, some of these lines you wrote, they are like poetry. Where did you come up with these great lines?
Well, I think, Heather's invented its own language. Grease had Peachy Keen and, things of that sort. Clueless, had such a great language Amy created. So with Jawbreaker, I really wanted to try to do that. And so I found myself writing this kind of like weird, like iambic pentameter kind of stuff, like that whole thing when she's in the cafeteria talking about like complexion defection. And
oh my God,
that's just my weird imagination, I guess.
Did you ever like talk like that in school? Were you ever coming up with these?
I was very into movies and being cool and new wave and punk and all that kind of horror, so I was always like following the latest stuff. And because I'm queer, I think I felt such an extreme sense of otherness. I couldn't, in high school, I couldn't be who I wanted to be, who I saw in the movies. And so I was like, and so Jawbreaker in a way is sort of like a fantasy of the high school that and the violent, not the violence, but the explosiveness, the emotions of like, fuck everybody, for like not accepting me. The shame we feel as being queer, being different in the world. I think came out in that movie.
Wow, absolutely. You're so right. Okay, so you write this amazing script, and like you said, it took a little bit for the movie to actually, get up and running.
Nobody made it. All the studios passed on it. No one wanted to make it. It was like too weird, I mean, I just wrote. We're developing Jawbreaker as a movie musical now, Columbia.
Oh, a movie musical. I was going to say, because I know there has been a stage musical in the works that you've been involved with. And
Yes.
honestly, I mean, there must be a musical element. There already is. Your film already has a killer soundtrack and the score is amazing. So, okay. Wow. So that's amazing news.
It's not greenlit yet, but they want to get a pop. They're happy with the script and they really want to get a pop star attached. So
Oh,
right now we're out to somebody. Hopefully she says yes. And
that's amazing.
it's a really fun world. You know, Fern is now Vern. She's trans.
Oh, interesting. Oh, yeah, that's a really good angle. Wow. So, and this is so interesting because there are comparisons to Mean Girls. Jawbreakers was Mean Girls before Mean Girls, right? And it's so funny rewatching it now, years later. Like, there are moments that I'm like, Tina Fey really must be a big Jawbreaker fan, right?
Well, she's never even mentioned it.
Oh, well, I mean, I'll mention it for her, and not that I know her, but I mean, there are some similarities, right?
Yeah.
But now, how funny. Yeah, this is great timing to do a movie musical of your work. And with that, Mean Girls movie musical just came out. So, like, if you can say, what's been the script writing process with that film? Are you kind of
been really
able
fun.
to just...
Well, I wrote the libretto for the stage musical, and I collaborated with a composer and lyricist. And so writing the movie musical was really a combination of adapting the script, the movie, and the screenplay of the movie with the musical, and with a whole new creation of what is this new thing. So I really wanted to give it a reason to exist. I just didn't want to remake Jawbreaker. I wanted to change it and modernize it and have it be completely its own experience. So it's the same story as the original film, same characters, same plot, but it's like 2.0. It's like 10.0. It's like steroids. It's like crazy. The music's great. The music's very pop and like, Lady Gaga or Kylie Minogue, Kim Petras style.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, so it doesn't feel like musical theater. Actually, Kim's someone that we're talking, that I would love to get for Vern. Fern. But her being trans is not just about, by the way, it's cool. It's a cultural thing now. It's really more about a lot of queer and trans people have messaged me and said that Fern's translation into Violet has mirrored or echoed or felt like their own trans experience and felt like there's a trans narrative to that story. And so I was just basically making the subtextual queer stuff on no longer subtext, just owning it, right?
Absolutely, Darren. Yeah, and you're so right with the analogy to trans, and then just queerness in general, right? Because she does sort of have a crush on Liz Purr, right? And then she's coming into her own and figuring that out. Absolutely, yeah. And I've seen clips of Judy Greer talking about how a lot of queer fans have, I guess, come up to her and said that she's such a queer, iconic character. We'll be right back.
At a school like Reagan High, popularity can be deadly.
I heard she choked on a Jawbreaker.
That is so cool.
I don't think we've met, what with the cruel politics of high school and all.
From TriStar Pictures comes the battle of the babes.
It's hard.
It's over, Courtney. I am petrified.
Jawbreaker.
Our best friend is dead.
Do you have any idea what that means?
You were shooing for prom queen?
Rated R. In theaters February 19th.
What was it like when it came out? I know it didn't make a ton of money, but we're talking about it 25 years later. Were you feeling pressure to have a big teen movie?
Yeah, I mean, I remember because I sorry, it's just funny. I had worked with Freddie on Sparkler, and I saw him at a party, and he made She's All That the same time we made Jawbreaker. I remember saying to Freddie, I wonder whose movie is going to do better. We're coming out at the same time. He's like, I'm going to bury you. I'm like, whatever. I think I'm going to bury you. And of course, She's All That is a much bigger movie, much bigger commercial success. But I feel like they're just apples and oranges. Jawbreaker was made for a fraction of the budget. It was like $3 million.
Amazing.
It was only released on 800 screens when She's All That was like 2,000 screens. And it's a subversive cult film. It's not a commercial movie, even though I think it does have commercial elements. And the musical is way more commercial, by the way.
Okay, cool.
And not in a bad way, not in a safe way, more in like in that it emotionally feels a little more like satisfying. Like I wouldn't use the word emotion, like when I'm thinking about the original film, it's kind of it's a harsher experience. Yeah.
Okay, well, yeah, honestly, and it's so interesting just how different films have different trajectories because we're not really talking about She's All That too much. And no offense, that's a fun movie for sure. Got some good musical elements in there. I just talked about it on the show last month. But Jawbreakers, the winner for me for sure, and I think for many people. But okay, Darren. So now you've written it. Columbia TriStar green lights it. Now I heard, is it true that I guess executives did they tell you you got to cast either Rose McGowan, Kate Winslet, or Natalie Portman? Is that accurate?
Yeah, basically the executives like if you can get A, B, or C actress, we'll make the movie. And A and B were Kate and Natalie, and C was Rose. I mean, it's not even you can't even imagine the film with Kate Winslet or Natalie Portman.
I know. Right?
And so Rose, I felt like was always the right choice for it. But ironically, I had seen the Gym Generation at a screening when it came out, and I thought, oh boy, Rose is so fascinating and transfixing and so edgy and beautiful. I was like completely enamored of her with her from Doom. And then I saw Scream and I was like, wait, that's the girl from Doom and she's blonde and she's great.
Yeah.
Wow, that's kind of wild. And then she's dating Marilyn Manson. What is this girl about?
Yeah.
So I kind of was hesitant in the beginning to cast Rose as Courtney because I thought like, oh, everybody would expect that. She's so like, she kind of has that element.
Yeah.
But sometimes the obvious choice is the right choice. And she was the right choice, period, for that role,
Absolutely. She has such confidence. I mean, not only is she stunning, she's beautiful. Your whole cast, everyone is so beautiful in this movie, but much like your story, everything's so beautiful on the outside, but everyone gets to really, get sick and twisted, right? But oh yeah, I can't imagine anyone playing Courtney except for her. I mean, in this movie musical, there's some big heels to fill.
They really are.
Right?
I really want to, hopefully I'll put, all the girls in the original in cameos in places. I definitely want to use Judy Greer as Miss Sherwood in the remake.
Oh my gosh, brilliant. Oh, I just got giddy. That's brilliant. And Carol Kane. Well, okay, we'll get to like the supporting, but I mean, even the supporting roles, you have some great like film royalty and horror royalty from the 70s, in here. But so yeah, because it's casting by Lisa Beach, who cast Scream. I mean, like I actually sat in on a webinar with her a year ago around this time, and she was so interesting to just watch and hear. She's done so many great things. So was casting this, I assume, so fun with her?
It was so much fun. Yeah, she'd also done Election, I think. I mean, but she was great. Her and Sarah Katzman.
So many things. Yeah.
And it was hard. The thing is, it's like, how do you find girls who can who understand who get the heightened tone of the material? So Julie Benz for Marcy came in and was fun. She was just funny. Like she brought a humor to the role that wasn't even on the page. And so whenever an actor auditions and they bring something that's not on the page that surprises me as a filmmaker, that I think is a for sure go-to because it's like it becomes a unexpected collaboration.
Yeah.
Then for Julie, I remember we were thinking about using Rachel Lee Cook. I hate
how funny. Back to She's All That, right?
Yeah, but Rachel read with Rose and Julie Benz, and it wasn't the right chemistry. Like Rachel Lee Cook was playing it too real, and then Gayheart came in, and Gayheart got the tone.
Yeah,
and because Gayheart is so larger than life anyway, just her beauty, right? But she understood the heightened world of the movie. So those three girls, and then we almost cast. I mean, Portia de Rossi, I remember had read for Fern.
Oh, how funny!
I really liked her, but we cast this other girl. I'm not going to say her name because she never really went on that much, but she ended up doing a pilot instead of Jawbreaker.
Okay. And she was cast as Fern?
Fern. And so we were left in the lurch without a Fern, like a week before production.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was really stressful. And I think I've told the story that Rose was like, I can play Fern and Violet and Courtney.
Take her place.
And so Lisa Beach was like, oh, this girl, Judy Greer, just came out of dramatic school. She's brilliant. You got to meet her. So Judy came to the production office and she was like a revelation. I mean, Judy Greer is just, wow. Judy Greer is just Judy Greer. I mean, she's funny. She's beautiful. She's dramatic. And to have someone who can play the queen bitch and also the real wallflower, like the really nerdy, like Judy really could embrace both sides of that. So yeah, that's a very queer character because I feel like as queers we go through life like this with the extra vigilance of being out and about. Or can I tell? Am I being too femme? And
absolutely,
there's this heightened and Fern. I think Fern and Violet encapsulate that, I think, push and pull.
Yes, absolutely. Where you're, super aware of how you're coming off to others, and is it right? Is it okay? Absolutely. Because even when she's Violet, she ends up, of course, really feeling herself, which pisses off Courtney. Iconic. But even as she's rising in the ranks, she's still kind of looking around and making sure, like, am I doing it right? Right, which really comes through. Now, okay, now this just popped into my head. I gotta know about that epic scene when Courtney pushes Violet into the mirror in the bathroom, and the mirror broke. It doesn't shatter, of course, but was that planned?
Yeah, well, I wanted it to shatter. It was a candy glass mirror,
Wow.
and we only had 2 mirrors because we were low budget. We couldn't afford to do that scene 10 times. Yeah. So they had 2 chances to get it right, or maybe 3. The first time the mirror didn't even do anything. So I was like, throw her into the mirror hard so the mirror cracks. I wanted to spider web. I wanted it to spider web. Oh, yeah. It doesn't do that. But that's why Rose threw her against her twice, because the first time didn't crack enough, so she did it again.
Wow. Oh, that's brilliant. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
What the fuck are you doing?
Exactly what you taught me.
I taught you to disrespect us?
You taught me to rule.
That's right. Rule, bitch. But don't forget who made you.
We see it crack. So you got that effect for sure.
I wanted it to fully spiderweb, but it wasn't.
I know.
But it still works.
Maybe in this new one, maybe we can, right? That'd be cool. That could be like the poster too. Ooh, very cool. Okay, so that's our like, main 4. Real quick, let's touch on, because you, like I said, you have some film royalty in this movie. You have Pam Grier, Carol Kane. What was it like casting them? And they're really memorable, great roles.
Carol, I was a huge fan of When a Stranger Calls.
Oh, yes.
As a kid,
and the sequel's really good too.
Mm-hmm. As a kid, I did a remake of that movie. I was so scared of it. I was just so, have you checked the children? It was just such a scary film.
Yeah.
And so I wanted her, and I got her, and it was like exciting.
That's
and
amazing.
She was so great. She totally got the tone, and she was so kooky and fun. And she's so kooky. It's sort of like Fern, like she was Fern in high school.
Yeah.
Her and Fern had that special bond, and it was really cute.
Yep.
Pam Grier, it was like, who can go up against Courtney Shane? Like, who can go up against, what kind of cop can give Courtney a run for her money? And I thought, well, Pam Grier, the queen of, blaxploitation movies, like Foxy Brown. You can't. And so just seeing Pam against Rose is so fun. It's like these two kind of cult movie icons, like against each other. But back then, Pam was an icon. Rose was on her way. But now she's fully, right?
Oh, absolutely. You have major icons. I'd say everyone in this movie is an absolute icon. It's amazing. And yeah, I had forgotten, it had been a couple years. I watched it for its 20th anniversary for fun. So about 5 years ago, right? And yeah, I forgot you have some great stare downs between Pam and Rose in the school hallway, Yeah, there's some.
Yeah, and the character does a lot more in the remake. The character has a lot more to do, because that character was definitely underserved in the movie. I mean, listen, I was so young when I read that script,
I mean, I would have never thought that, but I like the idea of her getting more to do. Yeah, that's great.
She has a lot more to do. And then I wanted PJ Souls and William Catt because they were both in Carrie. So that was like a big homage to Carrie. And they're hardly in the movie. And I was so glad they decided to do it.
Yeah. Were they going to do more, or was it always just kind of like that quick?
It was always pretty quick. It was always pretty quick. It's That's weird though. The scene when they find her dead body and the camera sort of like moves in on them. That shot is longer in the trailer than it is in the movie.
Oh, how funny.
And the reason why is because the executive thought it was too disturbing to have their reaction, like discovering their dead bodies. So we had to cut some frames out of it, but it doesn't feel as satisfying. I would have liked to have kept it in longer. But then Jeff Conaway was a reference. Yeah, he was a reference to Grease, because Grease is a very big part of the DNA of this movie, in that the teenagers are adults and they're like they're having sex, and there's like, and she's like Peachy Keen, Rizzo is like this force to be reckoned with.
Oh yeah,
Rizzo. I would say Courtney's almost like a Heather meets a Rizzo in a way. It's funny because Heather's gets referenced a lot because it's 3 girls, and yes, it should, but there's just as much I think Rizzo and Courtney as there is Heather, you know?
I totally see it. Absolutely. Even
And
I feel like she has the little, bow around her neck, which is very Rizzo.
There's a lot of 50s styling, capri pants, the vintage purses, and even I would say there's a lot of Taurus Satana from Faster Pussycat Kill Kill.
Mhm.
You know, it's meant to be Russ Meyer level, you know, sort of like women, you know, big, you know, kind of voluptuous women who are like having sex and calling the sexual shots, calling, you know, killing their friends by accident. You know, it's like a women dominated world, right? It's not the guys in the movies are either sex objects or like they're the boyfriend.
Right. Yeah. They are strictly supporting, and it's like, know your role. You're not getting more than that, right?
Yeah. Even the dad is like, Dad, don't be a dick. Even the dad is like belittled in that scene, you know?
I know. Oh my gosh. So I love every scene in your movie, but I mean, I Think We're Alone Now is so fun.
Oh, you love Tiffany. I think we're alone now.
Oh my God.
That's so fun. Kind of random, but like, it was just great.
It's random because when I was growing up, you're younger than me, but Tiffany, that song came out. I was like, it was so like infectious.
Oh,
and I had a moment with Tiffany, and I wasn't really into pop. I was definitely more into new wave and punk and stuff. But for whatever reason, I Think We're Alone Now got into my psyche. And so, I think because I was embarrassed by it, it was that's why I had her dad reference that song, because she was embarrassed by it. So it was really my own like weird. It was like like me as a teenager, and me disrespecting my parents. You know, I'm sure I was call my dad a dick at some point. I remember I once I went to flick off my mom, and my dad was like, "If that finger comes up, I'll chop it off."
Oh, and did it come up, or did you stop? Okay,
I didn't want to get like hit because I mean, he wasn't violent, but like this is back in, you know, when we got spanked for sure.
Oh, totally. Oh, yeah. And you went to Catholic school, right?
Harvard was Episcopalian.
Oh, Episcopalian. Okay.
I'm Jewish, but so I didn't really like practice. You know, we had to go to church as part of school, but I didn't really like. It wasn't my thing.
Yeah. Wow. Now, what did your parents think of Jawbreaker when they first watched?
They loved it. They were just so excited and so happy about it. And, you know, they always knew I was a weird kid and into weird stuff. And so they weren't that surprised, I think, by the edge of the movie because they had grown up with me. So
I love that.
They were into it. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's so awesome.
Tell us about your first day.
Well, it's been great so far, man. I get to kiss beautiful women. You know, I can't complain. I got the T-bird. Life is good.
Tell us how your first day was.
Great time. Things are good. Life's good.
How's the sex scene?
I liked it more than I was supposed to. Let's put it that way.
Like it?
Yeah. Yeah, I like it. Oh.
Okay, now we'll quickly talk about the boys. So what was it like casting Ethan and Chad, two cuties, two very different types of guys, very memorable, great in their supporting roles. What was it like with that process?
They were great. I mean, I think originally we tried to cast Josh Hartnett. You have to remember, I mean, Pacey came in to read, you know, the kid from Dawson's Creek.
Yeah.
I mean, Michelle Williams came in to read. I mean, this was like,
oh my gosh,
this was like the 90s. Like everybody was in it. And I think Hartnett got like a 3-picture deal with Miramax, so he couldn't do it. Mm-hmm. But Ethan Erickson, I mean, it's like if you're going to cast Dane, I mean, you may as well go in and like have him be like the funkiest dude ever. And Ethan is just that guy, and he was so like game to like suck on that popsicle. Like he like gave his all. Like, and Rose is like, I mean, that scene is probably something she would do in the bedroom. So it wasn't like that.
Oh wow! Oh, I love it.
To them together, it was such great chemistry. You know.
Oh my gosh, it is perfect chemistry. I mean, the earth shook during that scene. My young eyes and everyone I know is like, the popsicle scene, right? So wow, thank you, Darren.
There's so many gays. Like that was like their gay awakening.
Yeah, it's a big moment.
Ryan, Felipe, and Cruel Intentions or something.
Oh yeah, Ryan is right up there as well. But Ethan Erickson, wow. So good on you and Lisa Beach for getting.
And then the other kid, Chad Chris, he was adorable. Yeah. He had played like a young Ethan Hawke.
He was in like a absolutely, yep.
Mm-hmm. Sweet, and he had that long hair. He just felt very like, you know, like Pearl Jam dude, but
yeah,
a guy who could like straddle like drama and like still be popular and like, you know, motorcycle guy.
Yeah.
So he was fun, and that very really was like a reference to like sort of like Rebel Without a Cause. It was like supposed to be like the rebel dude from school, you know. But once again, he's peripheral to the story. He's not like really about like in Heather's. It's the Christian Slater character who convinces her to do the murders. You know, in this, you know, Courtney is like the diabolical one from the beginning. It's not. That's why the similarities to Heather's are just really literally three girls. It's fine. I mean, and the cool thing is the three films coexist now and as this like this triumvirate.
I think that's the right word. Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's great. I think it's really cool. And I like that Jawbreaker is sort of like the one that's kind of the weird one that people, you know, that's not as big as, because Heather's is like is not just a cult classic, that's a classic.
Right.
And Mean Girls is a commercial, huge cultural landmark, you know, so Jawbreaker's in the middle.
Oh, totally. Jawbreaker is probably the prettiest of the three, you know, with all these great shots and colors and actors. I mean, Vicky, what's her name? Vicky Barrett. It was, yes.
In the movie, she was Vicky Brinkhorn, and then she married Simon Barrett.
Yes.
So she was brilliant. I mean, she murdered that movie.
Oh my gosh. It's truly unique what you guys were able to do. I mean, all the colors, and it's funny, I've had Mona May on the show in the past, and I was looking at Vicky's filmography, and she's worked with Mona on a lot of these big movies, right? Before yours.
Yeah, Vicky learned the business through Mona. And so if you look at Jawbreaker, it definitely feels like it's in the universe of Clueless or Romy Michelle. It feels, you can see the influence of those films on Vicky. But Jawbreaker is a lot more punk and a little different.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
Mona is really cool. Love her.
Yeah, so cool and so talented. And it's so fun, especially at this time, 25 years ago, when, I mean, 1999, you know, basically after Clueless and Scream, I mean, I've said many times on this show, teen movies, I mean, teen actors, young adult actors were like huge. They were huge stars, where now we kind of have stars of all ages, right? But like, it must be so cool knowing that on the map of movie high schools, Jawbreaker is like next to Woodsboro High and Scream and next to, you know, Clueless. It's just, that's got to be pretty cool knowing that your film is part of this beloved genre or style of movies at this time. Do you know what I mean?
I'm very grateful that, I mean, like, just having the 25th anniversary and seeing like all the articles and all the outpouring of love for the movie. It's like, to me, it's like, I just want to do something new. I don't care, you know? So I don't want to just rest on my laurels, but it's like, you can't not like be like, oh, wow, that feels really good to have all that attention for the film, you know? Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm sure it's really special. And I saw you guys, my latest short premiered at the Spooky Empire Festival in October in Orlando. So I was in the crowd. I saw, you know, and you all look so great. I mean, you're leading ladies. I'm like, can we get a sequel? But you know, I guess we can't get I'm too greedy. But if we ever did get a sequel, would you ever? I mean, had you ever even thought about like a continuation or no?
Yeah, I mean, over the years, people have wanted it and talked about it, and like, I just wasn't interested, because those were the years where like Cruel Intentions 2 was like straight to video sequel. Like, doing a straight to video sequel just didn't seem very cool to me. So I just rather would not do that.
Don't touch it.
And I always figured it was sort of like a standalone movie. I mean, the remake is cool because it just feels more meta because it's a musical and it's the same story, and I love that. Because I feel like when I was writing Jawbreaker, I kind of wanted it to be a musical.
Yeah.
Why it's so heightened, colorful, and that's why there's that whole like, you know, poetry, like sort of makeover montage with Liz being prepared for the grave, and Judy being, you know, Fern being changed into Violet. That could have been a song. That could have been a full musical sequence.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. When I was rewatching it the other day, I'm like, where is a musical version of this? I need to see it. So real quick, tell me, so then is there going to be any more life to a stage musical, or does it seem like all focus?
Seems like now where the focus is really on the movie musical, but of course, if that gets made, then I think after that it would be on the stage for sure.
And are the songs? Oh, sorry.
The songs are all written. Like, most of them are written. They're really fun. There's a song called "Learn It, Live It, Love It." There's a song called "Peachy Keen." There's a song called "Dress to Kill" when we first meet them at the beginning. There's a song called "Suck It."
Oh yeah.
It's kind of it gives you everything you want, I think, and you can probably hear a lot of the. If you go on YouTube, we've had concerts of the show in New York, and there's some footage from concerts where you can hear some of the music from different regions.
Oh, cool. I was going to say, are the songs in this movie musical you're working on, are they from the stage musical?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Makes sense. I was listening. There's a YouTube page that had, it's called All About Violet. A really fun song.
It's a great song. Yeah, that's in the movie as well. Yeah. And the great thing is because I wrote the libretto for the musical, I was with the composer and lyricist when we were deciding where the songs came and what the songs did and what the titles were. And so it all feels very out of my brain. Even though I didn't write the lyrics, a lot of the lyrics come out of the movie, and Jordan Mann, who wrote the lyrics, is so brilliant, and he extrapolated so well on what I did. And Jeff Thompson, who wrote the music, is a wonderful composer, songwriter. And so we had a really incredible collab. As a matter of fact, Carol Kane did a reading of it in New York when she played with Sherwood, and JoJo's done readings from GBF. Taylor Frey, who was in GBF, he was the gay Mormon. He did a reading. So there's been some fun overlap between GBF and Jawbreaker, which has been fun.
Yeah.
But I really hope that Sony makes this and people want it. And it just comes down to because it's not the big Tina Fey movie, we need to get kind of stars and star power and stuff. Yep. So we're hoping. I've already had a Zoom with Chloe Bailey, Chloe and Haley, and Chloe's.
Oh wow, cool!
Yeah, so we're gonna put together a group of pop stars.
Oh my gosh, this is so exciting! I'm so happy for you. That's got to be crazy.
It is crazy. Chappell Rowan's my dream, Marcy.
Oh, I love her. Oh my gosh, who would you want her to play? Can you say?
Marcy Fox.
Yeah. Wow. Oh my gosh. Would Gaga probably wouldn't do it, but I was going to say, would Gaga do a cameo, but now she's busy with Joker and all that. I mean, I don't know, maybe,
but Mary J. Blige could be a fun detective cruise.
Oh my gosh. Wow. This is so cool. This is so cool. I love it. That's amazing. And of course, she's got to have a song or two, right? Vera Cruz.
She does. Yeah.
Okay, good. Now real quick, back to the non-musical version. I don't want to take up much more of your time, but this is so fun. Now I heard that you had some trouble with the rating. Is it true that for a little bit there it was going to be NC-17, or is that just a rumor?
It was true. We had to take out a couple thrusts. The scene when Marilyn Manson's having sex with her with the dead body and doing that. There's apparently, I didn't know this, but to get an R rating, you can't have there's a maximum of 3 or 4 thrusts in a sex scene, I guess. Who knew? And it probably had to do with the fact that it was an older man, and a high school girl, and then her high school girl's friend is dead under the bed. It's a little bit kinky and weird.
It's dark. That is twisted. Yeah.
But another influence on the movie was Twin Peaks. I was very into Twin Peaks. And that's why it was very Laura Palmer-esque for her to go to a dive bar and find an older man and bring him back.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Marilyn Manson, I did love some of his songs back then. But man, we know he's famous for being kind of scary and everything. But the way you guys dressed him as this stranger in the bar, so freaky. So freaky. So
it was freaky. Because we obviously he's not going to wear his makeup. And
no,
I think it was Vicky, her idea to put him in a complete 70s Sergio Valente suit with that weird porn stash.
Yeah.
It's a really creepy look.
Oh, it's so creepy.
Yeah, it's fun. And then the Donnas who played prom, I was just a fan of theirs. And I saw a picture of them in their Donna. They had different t-shirts that had Donna K, Donna F, Donna R.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's such a fun way to homage Heathers.
Yes.
With these girls named Donna. So that was an homage to Heathers meets an homage to Rock and Roll High School, which featured the Ramones.
Okay. Yep. Exactly.
Yeah. PJ Souls was in Rock and Roll High School as Riff Randall. Yes. I love that movie. I love her in it. And that's how I discovered the Ramones. And so I really wanted to have a lot of that DNA in this movie as well.
Oh my gosh. I love how that all connects. Yes, absolutely. Oh, that's so cool.
I'll fucking shred you, you whore.
I assume it was an amazing time. Was there any real drama? Probably not. Hopefully not.
It was not the easiest experience just because it was so low budget and we had 30 days to do it.
Fast. Yeah.
It was a fast shoot and a big movie to make, but I had a great time for sure. Yeah.
Oh my God, I believe it. Yeah, I hope you guys all laughed.
Capturing lightning in a bottle. It was like capturing a dream vision in a bottle with like, no
Yes.
budget and like 30 days and this, getting to the finish line,
Yeah. It's what's amazing about it is it feels indie, but it has this shine that many indies don't get to have. So it's like that perfect blend of like, studio, but really like kind of raw and weird and just not like the mainstream, which is awesome, So now you film it, you edit it. I mean, everything, the cinematography, editing, the sound effects are so much fun. I love like that scene when Fern's, she's still Fern. She's not Violet yet, early on. And she's outside of Liz's house and she picks a flower. And then we see and hear this gross, centipede, like great little sound effects, right? Everything's coming together. It's so good. You have an amazing soundtrack. Now, what was this like pulling all these songs? Like, were you involved in that? Did you have a music supervisor?
I had a music supervisor, but I was very involved because I love music and I love bands and I love like, rock. So I was really into like Imperial Teen, for example. I had their first record, Seasick. I went to NYU with Will Schwartz from the band.
Oh, cool.
And we just lucked out that their second album was coming out right as we were looking for a song for the hallway. Because we had an iconic hallway song, and You Who had not come out, and their second album had not come out. And the music supervisor was like, "Oh my God, you have to hear this song off the new Imperial Teen record." And I was like, "That's it," because we were trying every song with it, like Elastica's Connection or like Fun Boy 3's Our Lips Are Sealed. We're trying all these iconic, Cannonball by the Breeders. And that was the song. That was it.
Wow. It's iconic. And I mean, slow motion hallway walks. I mean, Jawbreaker is A+++. When you were writing, were you envisioning like a slow motion for the hallway walks, or did that kind of come up?
That was all very intentional. And I wanted to reference like gangster movies and Western movies.
Oh,
Yeah, because these films where like the men get to have this like macho slow motion walk. And I was like, why don't girls have that? And I was like, well, let's just do complete runway fashion walk, and sort of like be really over the top about it and like feature these 3 outfits and like just gorgeousness. And, she's like,
oh my gosh, the way she runs her, like, just genius. Every decision is like A+. It's amazing.
That was all very intentional for sure.
That's awesome. Wow.
Yeah, and it's weird to see how it's been like parodied and it became, like in Mean Girls, I think the girl does the thing, but then falls in the trash, which is hilarious.
Which is great. Yep.
This is high school detective cruise. What is a friend anyway?
So now, so it's done, it's edited, and you premiere at Sundance, which is amazing.
That was a huge surprise. So the executive at Columbia TriStar Home Video had been the acquisitions business. So he would acquire indies and foreign films to release it at Columbia TriStar Home Video. And then premiere them at Sundance, because Sundance was a great launch for indie films, right? And so they had a Sundance called Clint. His name was Clint, the executive that year, and said, "Hey, what do you got for me this year?" And Clint said, "Oh, we have this film called Jawbreaker, but this is a teen comedy. It's not very Sundance, not very indie. It's just a campy teen comedy." And the guy at Sundance, Jeff, he was the head of Sundance. I forget his last name, but he was like, "We do teen comedies here. Heather's premiered here. Pump Up the Volume premiered here. We like teen movies here." And so he showed him Jawbreaker, and Jeff liked the movie, and it got programmed at Sundance.
Wow.
And that was like crazy because I wasn't even sure at that point if the film was going to go straight to video, because Columbia basically they made it for the budget of a straight to video movie. So they knew that their ass would be covered even if they just went straight to video with it. And so there was a point where they weren't sure if this was going to be theatrical at all. It might have been straight to video.
Interesting.
And so I think the Sundance premiere and the press that generated and the response at Sundance helped secure the film a theatrical release, which was great.
Yeah. And so it's kind of crazy. This happens every now and then still. Yeah. But what did you think of, you premiere at Sundance in January, and then were you then given a release date February 19th?
Yeah.
Whoa. That's fast.
Great. Well, because I think they realized, we should just like ride the heat of Sundance right into the release. So that happened. And, you have to remember, the film still did not have the budget of the marketing the prints and advertising and marketing budget of A Cruel Intentions or of The Can't Hardly Wait or of Idle Hands, any of those. So bus stops did not have Jawbreaker posters. There was an MTV half-hour special that was really cool, or an hour special on MTV. There were, there were commercials on TV. There was trailers in movie theaters, but there were not posters around LA. I mean, I remember opening night, I went around to theaters in LA to see it with different audiences, and certain theaters didn't have like a poster for it up, and they didn't have signage up. It wasn't like the full studio thing.
Yeah.
But I think the people who knew about the movie were going to see it just based on the trailer, and they saw something that spoke to them. Because Jawbreaker has that camp quality and that intrinsic queerness to it, people who are that and who get that and who want that know what that is without having it's like an unspoken language. And I think the reviews were so bad back then because the critics were all older heterosexual men who didn't get what the movie was.
Jawbreaker should be called Jaw Dropper. It's that mean and vicious. These people are loathsome. They are hateful. They are not nice. The movie isn't funny. It's very unpleasant. There's nobody to root for.
And so the critics hated it. It didn't do that well theatrically. And that was tough, to deal with, because I just wanted to make another movie and I didn't get to. And it was hard for me. But
I bet.
Time spoke, and decades later, the movie did not go away. So
I know you're probably like, where the fuck were you all 25 years ago?
I know. Isn't that wild?
Oh, that's amazing, though. I mean, and it just goes to show, I know it's tough because studios and even smaller studios care about money, of course. That helps makes decisions. But how special to just have something that people watch every year, and quote, and it's become a major part of people's lives. That is so cool. Did you ever imagine
the people who know about it, the people who love it?
Yes.
Still, I mean, listen, it's still doesn't have a huge swath. I think that something like Heather, like, for example, I'm a fan of RuPaul's Drag Race. I'm a producer of Dragula and a guest judge on Dragula. But on Drag Race, Jawbreaker's never been mentioned.
Oh, really? That's surprising.
They mentioned Heathers. I mean, there was a clique called the Heathers, right? Mean Girl, of course, is mentioned at the ass. But the queens all love it, and the queens all live for it. But it doesn't have, but for whatever reason, it's not quite, doesn't have quite the cultural, largeness to cut through to, RuPaul's Drag Race, for example. I don't know. So that's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. I blame the lame straight people that didn't just, like jump on it and start quoting like all of Courtney Shane's lines, that's their fault.
Yeah. I mean, I think the movie is cult, in that what that means is it speaks to a certain kind of person who understands that frequency, and not even basic gays don't. I hate to be a bit, but like, you know what I mean? Like, it requires a little bit more of a outsider perspective, like it has a huge Black audience. Black people love it because
that's interesting. Yeah.
Because the movie fucking goes in hard. And because for me, it was feeling different in the world. It's feeling, I was very androgynous in high school, and I felt like, do they know what I am? And, I wasn't just gay. I felt like some people, like, I just felt outside of everything. I felt like traumatized by that experience. And I think Jawbreaker is the movie. Is like, have you ever heard the term velvet rage?
I don't think so.
Okay, well, velvet rage is a term they use in, there's a book called The Velvet Rage, and it's when queer gay men, whatever, they become bitchy, or they have to be the best, or they become like a drug addict. It's like all these ways of coping with this extreme shame that we have of being of growing up in a world that's not made for us, right? Or vigilance that you have to have in the world. I think it's called velvet rage against the world. It comes out as perfectionism, or it comes out as being the bitchy queen archetype, or whatever.
Wow.
I think Jawbreaker was that for me, emotionally. And I had no idea that, Courtney Shane and Fern and Violet and Marcy and Julie, and even the guys to some respect, they're all different parts of me, Miss the dad and Miss Sherwood and the detective.
The dad. That's so. Maybe you'll play the dad in the new ones.
Dad vibes.
Yeah. No, that's amazing. And Velvet Rage. That could be the name of your next movie after the movie musical. Think about it. That could be interesting, right?
Yeah,
there you go.
It's like Terms of Endearment Part 3. Hey, this time the boyfriend's gay.
Yeah, and the rest of the cast sucks.
You wrote this, baby. We all love it. What is your favorite scene, line, moment from your movie? Like, is there one that like immediately jumps out to you?
I like all of it.
I know.
Like for example, like I think it's all really funny. Like I have a friend of mine, is the actor Thomas Dekker. He was on the Terminator show. I met him once because friends brought him to my house for a game night, and he couldn't help himself. He started quoting the movie all night. Like, and to this day, we're still friends. And he always quotes. Just yesterday, I was walking my dogs thinking of Thomas quoting the line from Miss Sherwood when she's like, "Please cover your bosoms. This is a learning institution. It's not a brothel."
It's one of my favorites. Yes.
Yeah. And that line was, by the way, written on the fly because she was supposed to go to school in a corset, not in that red cardigan that's over it.
Yeah. Okay.
I wanted my whole thing is, okay, well, how are they going to look in the slow motion scene? It needs to be like fashion. Mm-hmm. And so me and the costume designer both thought of her in this corset, this red corset with matching red pencil skirt. But then the executive was like, you cannot have a girl going to school in a corset. It's just not going to happen. No way this happens.
Come on.
So we had to add Miss Sherwood putting on the red cardigan in that scene. Because we had already shot, I think, something. We had to give her a reason to have it on. Anyway.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, that's a great line. And that's when I think we first meet Miss Sherwood and we meet the bathroom. And yeah. Oh gosh, I love that line too. Totally. Oh, well, thank you, Darren, so much. This has been so special. I appreciate your time. Anything you want to?
I really appreciate your passion and stuff. It was so much fun.
Absolutely. Are you doing any more like conventions, any cons, anything coming up?
No. Right now I'm just trying to put together my next movie. You know, I have Jawbreaker. Hopefully that'll get a green light, and then another film called Aunt Max that we're in the process of putting together.
Fun.
So working on that, and pitching. I'm developing a slasher, and I'm pitching a series. I got a lot of stuff on my plate.
Oh, this is so exciting. I'm hearing everything. I'm loving everything.
Talking about a Jane Mansfield, Anton LaVey movie about the Church of Satan. Crazy stuff.
Love it. Isn't that amazing? That's all the time we had, but how'd you like all that tea and trivia, listeners, right? We are not worthy. We bow down. Thanks, everybody, for listening to or watching this episode, and a major thank you very much to Mr. Darren Stein for chatting with me about this great movie he made that I and many of you out there admire so much. Not only a really smart and clever filmmaker, but such a nice guy too. Thank you. If you had a good time, tell your friends, spread the word, and leave a rating, review, or a thumbs up. Thanks also to Straw Hat Media, Kyle Motzinger, Greg Clements, and Portland Media Center. Follow me on Instagram at Release Date Rewind to see more content from this chat and from Jawbreaker. And everybody, next time on Release Date Rewind, we're talking about another 1999 teen movie that rocked our worlds, and it was actually just brought up in this episode. And that movie is Cruel Intentions. All right, the episode's over, bitches.
It's over, Courtney. I am petrified.